at this. Some tense moments for passengers in Seattle after a Japan Airlines jet clipped the tail of a parked Delta plane. Look at that. Officials say the Delta plane was waiting to be de-iced yesterday morning when this happened. Nobody got hurt. But let's take a closer look at the damage of that airline's jet out of Japan. You can see a piece missing right there from the tip of its wing right after it struck the tail of that Delta plane. You wouldn't want to be getting on that plane if you're a passenger, right? Let's now talk about another transportation story to D.C. now, where investigators have identified all 67 victims of last week's tragic and deadly crash between an American Airlines jet and a Black Hawk helicopter. So crews have offloaded most of the plane's wreckage. They pulled it out of the icy Potomac River. You can see it right there being pulled up onto a barge. It's taken to a secure location. Today and tomorrow's focus is really getting the last portion of the plane's wing and the helicopter out of the water for analysis. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Kris Cleave joins us now. You're on the stream with us. And Kris, I don't think you've had a break in days, my friend, with all of these transportation headlines. Specific to the D.C. case, what happens once they get those parts all out and get them to a hangar for analysis?
Well, it allows the NTSB to be able to get hands-on work amongst the wreckage. The NTSB has said they feel like they need access to the Black Hawk helicopter, for example, to better understand some of the data set that came out of that helicopter's black boxes. They also, want to look at things like switches and dial positions, the configuration of the cockpits of both aircraft. So they need to be able to access them to do that kind of hands-on work. They also have an exemplar airplane, a CRJ 700, on site there so that they can compare things from the wreckage to another aircraft. And that stuff just has to get done once it's out of the water.
All right, so I got to get your take on something that's happening right now. Officials with the National Transportation Safety Board reportedly and the FAA are briefing senators on their investigation. I want to play some of the sound that Senator Ted Cruz had. He spoke briefly about news that Elon Musk could now have some control over the FAA. Let's listen to that and we'll get your take.
I think that's actually tremendously important. I have been advocating for a long time modernization of air traffic control. Our air traffic control technology is from the 1950s. We are literally using radar and strips of paper and floppy disks. And the fact that Elon Musk, one of the top technology CEOs on planet Earth, is available to bring his expertise and the expertise of world-class engineers to bring air traffic control out of the 1950s and into the 21st century, I think that is a real opportunity.
Yeah, it sort of echoes what we heard the president say earlier in the day. In fact, even talking about using satellite technology. Break this down for us. What would this mean?
Well, there's widespread agreement that the air traffic control system is old and that technological upgrades are needed. The question about whether Elon Musk should be the person to do it will be a controversial one. Remember, he is a user of the airspace with SpaceX, and there's some reporting that he pushed very hard to have the FAA administrator, the former now FAA administrator, pushed out of that role. So we've already heard from the ranking member on the Senate Commerce Committee, who works across the dais from Ted Cruz, Senator Cantwell, say she doesn't want Elon Musk involved because she thinks it's a conflict of interest, given that he owns SpaceX, who is a user of the airspace and is regulated in part by the FAA. So, there may be some controversy around having Elon Musk involved. The flip side of that, as you heard Senator Cruz say, he is one of the leading tech minds, and there is no question that the technology in the air traffic control towers right now is outdated. When you're hearing that air traffic controllers get information about an aircraft position rounded to the nearest 100 feet, when, there's an app on my phone that can give me data down to the foot, that's a stark difference in technology that clearly that needs to be addressed. And there does appear to be a will to address it. The question is, should Elon Musk be the guy to do it? And if he is, what kind of role does he have? Is he going to be a tech consultant? Is he Is he the government's Accenture or Deloitte that's going to make suggestions, or is he going to go into the FAA and sort of take over? That's what we don't know about what his role may be.
CBS News transportation correspondent Kris Van Cleave, invaluable information and a lot of headlines. Thank you so much, my friend.